Star Wars is an iconic series that has shaped generations and is still being watched widely today. It has inspired people to start acting to write their own stories, but despite all of that, I think they should remake their original trilogy. Perhaps the biggest reason, because I think the pros vastly outweigh the cons, is that Revenge of the Sith takes place 19 years before A Brand New Hope. And it has been 20 years since Revenge of the Sith was released. So because of that, you can reuse prequel actors like Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen to play their original trilogy counterpart and have them age naturally. And there are so many actors they can bring in from the prequel series. There are way too many to count. I mean, there's Hayden Christensen, there's Ewan McGregor, Genevieve O'Reilly, the actor who plays Uncle Owen, who plays Aunt Beru. There are so many, and having this continuity would greatly help this trilogy. I think that would be amazing if they were able to get that done. Not to mention, because you are now remaking these movies, you could have so many story elements and nods to the prequels, as well as just fixing a lot of the errors in the original Star Wars trilogy that has been caused by the new Star Wars projects that have come out. I mean, just for example, in the original Star Wars trilogy, the way they explain the Force is vague and not how it's explained and then built upon in further Star Wars projects such as Mandalorian, Clone Wars, and the prequels. And not to mention, like, all of these prequel nods that you can now add, like, before, for like, just in the very first scene, how they say that the rebels stole the Death Star plans. You can now even name those characters or say what planet they got it from, as now we've seen that with Rogue One. You can have this tie into a much larger Star Wars universe, whereas before, there was no Star Wars for Episode 4, but now there are dozens of projects you can have everything connect to, as this is the culmination of all the prequel stories, and I feel like it'd be such a missed opportunity not to take it. I mean, Obi-Wan is so vague about his relationship with Anakin, and I get that is purposeful, as he knows that Anakin's Darth Vader, but the way you can go so much further with it. I mean, in the original trilogy, Vader says that he hasn't felt Obi-Wan's presence in a long time, even though in Kenobi, we now know that they've met each other since the Clone Wars, and that is a plot hole now in the original trilogy. But you can just dial up the relationship so much more, especially with everything we have seen until now, especially with Clone Wars. We can make it so much more heartbreaking with their confrontation. The dynamics with these characters would just be so much better. And that's just with 2 characters. Imagine what you can do with so many others, as even for like Star Wars Rebels, you can now show the Ghost throughout the new trilogy. They don't have to have any of the characters. We can show the ship, as in many projects, they have retconned it, so there are characters that were introduced later in our lifetimes, but still are in episodes 4 through 6. And you can now actually have those in the movie. No one had any clue Star Wars would be this big, and I want to see those connections. I think that would be amazing. Not to mention, these films were made in the 70s and 80s, and the technology, the advancements since then has been staggering. Not to mention just with acting alone, Star Wars has had some amazing sets and amazing models in the original trilogy, like some of the best, and what they have done was groundbreaking and truly amazing. But I think if they keep, like, continue with the models, continue with the sets, but fix everything else, just increasing the quality of the film, that will go such a long way. I hate to say this, I love Mark Hamill. He's one of my favorite voice actors of all time. But his live action work, he was good as Luke. I do think he was good, but I think you could get someone better. And I know that may be blasphemous to say, but I think you can get a better Luke Skywalker. It will be really hard to replace a lot of the main trilogy actors, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, but Disney's tried before, and I think you can definitely give it a go. And I think you can even expand on these characters so much more, as they really try to put a lot into 2 hours, and nowadays there are many movies that go up to 3 hours. I don't think anyone would complain. I think fleshing out these characters, having them go through more character growth than just Luke, and even Han, like, there is character growth for these characters, but I think you can really dial it up, and I think a lot more people will be drawn into Star Wars, as Yeah, I do still think kids are enjoying Star Wars, but I think that you're missing out on a lot of people who have tried Star Wars and just not liked it. The Mandalorian, which came out during the Disney era, brought so many people into Star Wars. And I think redoing the original trilogy would bring so many more people into it. I think it'd just be such a mistake not to. I mean, yes, George Lucas and Disney have tried to update the Star Wars films to keep it relevant with modern technology and everything. But because of that, it's also kind of degraded the quality of these films. I mean, just in the fourth movie alone, A New Hope, the scene where Greedo shoots Han has been redone so many times, you can't really even see it anymore. Like, you can't see who shot first. Now they kind of just shoot at the same time, but they really just put giant blaster fire all over the screen just so you can't see the original scene, and it's a bit clumsy. Not to mention, like, when they ignite the lightsabers now, it's not smooth, it's not fluid, it just doesn't look as good. It freezes a little bit just because they try to update the technology, and of course, being filmed in the 70s, it can't keep up, and it just doesn't work as well, and redoing it, just doing the entire movie would just be better. They could improve on story points. They could improve this film in nearly every way. Not to mention the lightsaber fights. Lightsaber fights have changed a lot since the original trilogy. We had the amazing lightsaber fights in the prequel trilogy, some really terrible ones in the sequel trilogy, but given how we are on a trend where lightsaber fights are getting better and better, having those better choreographed fights in the original trilogy would be amazing. I mean, as awful and as painful as it's to say, the Acolyte had better lightsaber fights in the original trilogy. Kenobi did. Having that here with the ferocity, how it was choreographed between Luke and Darth Vader, having that level of fight with those two characters would be amazing. And I would absolutely love to see that. I know there's probably some fan animations out there, but seeing that officially on the big screen would be so cool. You can also fix a lot of the issues with this movie. I know, like, these movies are not perfect. I think the original trilogy is overrated, to be fair. I think they can improve so many things. I mean, Leia straight up admitted in the Return of the Jedi that she's always known that Luke's been her brother. Then what the hell is that kissing scene? Not to mention, since everyone pretty much knows the story of Star Wars or knows a lot about it, even if you don't watch it, you can make different moments play out a little bit differently, set up new foreshadowing that leads up to it. I know George Lucas before has tried to insert new scenes into these movies, but I think just starting from scratch and keeping the same story, but just making it build up better, have the better character development, and tie into the prequels and all these new characters would just hit home so much more. And yes, Star Wars is owned by Disney. I know a lot of people do think that Star Wars has been ruined by Disney. But have they, though? I mean, we have The Mandalorian, which brought in a huge crowd to Star Wars. We have the Fallen Order games, which are some of the best Star Wars games to date, and we're still highly anticipating the third one coming out. We have Star Wars Clone Wars Season 7, which is one of the best seasons ever, and what they've done with it is truly amazing with Maul and Ahsoka, and not to mention just Star Wars Rebels. Yes, there have been bad Star Wars projects under Disney. But there's also been bad Star Wars projects not under Disney, such as like the holiday special. I mean, I feel like the argument that Star Wars is doing poorly under Disney just doesn't fly. Star Wars has never been bigger. They've never made more money from it. Star Wars is massive, and a large thanks due to Disney. And I think remaking the original trilogy would be great for them. Yes, they may not be able to recapture it, but worst case scenario is they try and they fail, then we just go back to watching the 70s and 80s version. I mean, what's there for us as fans to lose? If anything, it can only get better, as if it's worse, we just don't watch it and watch the original. I don't see how this isn't a potential win-win scenario here. I mean, I know if they said they were going to remake it, yeah, I would be skeptical, as I think anyone would be, as this is, again, an iconic series. But how many of us would give it a shot? I think remaking the original Star Wars trilogy is such a good idea, especially right now in this period where Revenge of the Sith timeline meets with our real-world timeline for just having these actors age naturally. And I think they absolutely need to take advantage of this. Let me know what your thoughts are, as I think the pros vastly outweigh the cons. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, you can check out our recent review for Andor, as that is one of the best Star Wars series to date. Again, done under Disney.